It's a gorgeous sunny afternoon. Look, sunshine, and it's not cold. Today's Thursday. I've been busy. I've just been out and run an errand. I sold something on Vinted, and I almost detoured back via the supermarket to buy that fruit and nut chocolate. I keep thinking about it, and I keep seeing how long I can go before I crack. I am going to go to Morrison's this evening, I think, see if there's any deals in. I went yesterday. There was lots of stuff on the shelf, but it was all stuff that I wouldn't normally buy. It was all ready meals, and the prices weren't very good. I didn't go on Tuesday, so I'm going to go this evening. And if I do go this evening, I will end up buying that chocolate bar. I should go to Sainsbury really and get it for free, but I'm not due to go to Sainsbury again until Monday. I could walk down there tomorrow. I'll see what happens this evening. Depends if I get anything in Morrison's this evening. There's no fun stuff at the moment. It's all like pre-packaged pizzas and ready meals and like sushi type meals, and a lot of the fresh meat that was there was just more than I would spend normally, because I could go over to Sainsbury and get it for nothing, you see, so it's got to be worth it. So I'll probably go over this evening. Anyway, so yeah, I went and ran my errand. Since I've been back, I have put darts in the waistband of a pair of trousers that I really like, and the waistband's a bit big. So now it's a nice comfy fit for one of my favourite trousers. I recorded this morning that video I was talking about doing about credit scores. So this afternoon I'm going to edit it, and I've also been doing some crafting. I've been decorating a gift box that I'm going to put up on my shop when it's done. It's looking quite fun. Yeah, and that's it really for Thursday. Did some washing this morning. Been productive. I've got things done that needed to be done. Nothing major, because all the major stuff's done now. But I'm just like eating my way through little jobs that need doing. And it feels good. Definitely feels good. So I'm going to get on and edit that credit score video now, and hopefully I can get that up. Well, that'll be out before this, so you'll have already seen it by the time this comes out. Yeah. I did it. I went back to Morrison's. That means that I have been 3 times this week, and had 2 successful shops. So Monday was a good one. Yesterday I went back and there was nothing. This evening has also been a good one. Firstly, the confession. I bought it. I'm already regretting it because I'm already feeling like I don't need this. I could have waited until next week and got it free from Sainsbury. But it's £2.30. Is it £2.30? Yeah, £2.30. And it's the biggest bar that you could get of fruit and nut in the whole shop. And it worked out a lot cheaper than the others. I'm going to try and ration this, but this is why I don't buy this sort of thing, because once it's open, I just eat it. So I'm going to attempt to be good about it. So that means that today I spent £8.30, including £2.30 of nothingness that I shouldn't have bought. But apart from that, we had a good shop. So, firstly, a bag of wonky peppers. Forgot what they were called for a moment. This was £2 down to 80p. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 or 7 in there, so that's not bad. Happy with that. Don't often get peppers. There were also lots of cherry tomatoes. These were 68p down to 21p, and I bought 3 of those because why not? They will go very nicely in my one-pan dishes. I also got some meat. This is liver sausage, quite a big bag. Was £2.65 down to 67p. Quite a lot in there. That will do quite a few stir-fry dishes for the next week. They also had Savers ham trimmings. These were £3, well, £2.99 down to 90p, so I bought 2. This I can pop into the freezer. Might keep a bit out, but I'll put the rest of it in the freezer. That's good, because I was looking at ham the other day, and a bag half the size of that was like £2.65, and that was on discount. And guess what I got? The pork and apple pies, the best ones. £3.50 each, down to £1.05. I got 2. There were 2 on the shelf and I took them. So when I got there today, there was lots of food on the shelf. A few people hanging around, but not a big deal. I think they're starting to put stuff out earlier. Maybe because normally I would get there before 6 o'clock and there wouldn't be anybody there. So I think that they've been running late for a bit and now they're back on normal time, which is great because I hate the whole queuing thing. Muscling in alongside people like it's the first day of the sales is just a nightmare. So that was a pretty good purchase. There's quite a lot of veg there that I can put into my meals. Lots of meat that I can store in the freezer and some snacky stuff. So that'll keep me happy. I could have not got the chocolate and just enjoyed the pork and apple pies, but there you go. So as usual, I shall put up there what I would have spent if I bought all of this full price, what I have saved by buying it on yellow sticker, and that is the end of Thursday. I am not going to go back to Morrison's tomorrow because apparently there's a storm on the way, and I've been getting texts from people saying, "Oh, Storm Claudia's coming." I didn't know there was a storm with my name. Apparently it's Spanish. But that's supposed to be moving in tomorrow. I don't know it's going to hit us because it talks about it being central and south, I think they said it was. But we'll see. Anyway, I'm quite happy to stay in tomorrow. I've been out a couple of times today already, so one day staying in, finishing off jobs that I started today. Fine by me. So we'll see what happens with that. That's the end of Thursday. We're almost at the end of yet another week. Unbelievable. State of me. It's morning. I had 3 lines of that chocolate last night. This is why I don't buy it, because once it's open, it's open. But it was underwhelming, as I thought it might be. I have definitely lost a lot of my sweet tooth this year, which is a good thing. Anyway, so I have kind of wrapped up the rest of that chocolate and put it to the back of the shelf, and maybe I'll forget about it for a bit. And then I can make it last a long time. The beginnings, I'm assuming it's just the beginnings of the storm are here. It's been lashing down with rain. The rain's now just stopped, but it's also really windy and it's so dark. I am not going out there today. It looks absolutely horrific. So I have stuff I can get on with today. So I'm going to stay in a state of semi-hibernation and just lock down and finish stuff I need to do. It's horrible here. I was watching a pigeon trying to fly. And it's battling against the wind to try and stay in a straight line. They're struggling. But they're managing it, so it can't be that bad. You can usually judge how windy it is by how many wheelie bins have gone over. And only one wheelie bin has gone over out the back, so it's not too bad. But I think it's still incoming. I don't think we've hit the peak for it yet. And it's only, 9 o'clock in the morning, so no surprise there. So today's my last day of just doing stuff for myself. And then we're back to cleaning rotors tomorrow, which will be Saturday. So today, on this incredibly wet and windy Friday, it's horrible out there, I am going to walk you through... What's wrong with my fringe today? That's a bit better. I'm going to walk you through one of my one-pan meals. Now, these are pretty standard for me. Everything is dictated by what I can afford to get in Morrison's on yellow sticker discounts and what I can get for free in Sainsbury using my Nectar card. I'm very careful about what I spend on food. I know my limitations. I used to be a proper foodie, grazer. If food had no calories, I would just eat all the time, and I would still probably do that. But I've got very good at taking a step back from that. Most of my meals I cook from scratch, which is also really helpful. And I kind of stockpile cheap stuff when I can get it, and that gives me the variety that keeps food interesting, but also keeps me on the straight and narrow, because I will just eat and eat and eat. So today I am going to do a rice dish. I did buy a bag of rice in Sainsbury's last week. It was there cheap. I think it's like 52p for a bag. I've put almost a cup of rice into there. Now what I'm going to do, and this is something that I also do very often, if I'm doing a meal like a pasta dish or a rice dish or something like that in the pan, I will do enough to do lunch and dinner. So you'll be having enough for lunch, and then I tend to have my main meal at lunchtime, so I'll eat more of it at lunchtime, and then I have smaller amounts for dinner. So I'm going to use my big frying pan, and I'm going to make enough to do lunch and dinner. So for this, I have my rice. It's up to there, so it's not a massive amount of rice, but it will be enough for what I need to do. And what else have I got? I have got half a vegetable stock cube. That's really important for the rice to kind of bolster up the taste, but of course it's up to you. I have some courgette. I'm going to get a bit more courgette than that. This week I managed to get a discount, stick a discount on a bag of wonky peppers, so I'm going to put a pepper in there. I have 1 clove of garlic, because that's always nice in a rice dish. And I'm going to break into the liver sausage which I bought, and you might think liver sausage in rice sounds absolutely disgusting, but honestly this will be fine by the time it's done. I am also going to put some leek in. Now whenever I buy leeks, I put them in water. Once you start cutting them, they start to grow again, and it keeps them fresher. So I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to take off about between 1/3 and 1/2 of that. So I'm just going to chop that down now. So I've taken about that much of the leek. I was going to put some onion in, but leek has a very kind of oniony type smell to it, so I'm not going to bother with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a few inches of water in the bottom of a saucepan. It's probably only about 2 inches in a saucepan like that, and there's a reason for having that much water. I am going to chop up the half a stock cube, because it will dissolve quicker, and then going to put that into the water. And then I'm going to put that on to boil. Whilst that is boiling, I am going to chop up my garlic clove, peel that. I love garlic. Love the smell of garlic. Oh, so good. So I'm going to dice that up as small as I can. Doesn't have to be fine chops. I mean, it's up to you. You can do whatever you like. I am a relatively lazy cook. And I try and, partly because energy costs money, so gas and electricity, so I tend to keep cooking to a minimum. That's how my garlic looks, so that's going to go into the pan. I don't really have any oil at the moment. I know I'm not supposed to cook with olive oil, but that's all I've got because it was gifted to me. So a little splash of that just to get that started. But generally I pan cook with water, so that's just to get it started. Right, so that stock cube has dissolved, so I'm now going to put the rice in. We'll turn the heat down a little bit on that and we'll let that cook until it's almost ready. Let's get a little bit more courgette. I also have a lot of cherry tomatoes in the fridge at the moment, but I don't want to put them in this dish. So now I'm going to chop up everything else basically. So chop up your veggies how you like. You can have them as chunky or as fine as you like. I kind of go for a mid-range, so to speak. And you've just got to bump it up with enough in it so that you know you're going to have enough for lunch and dinner. Now I've got really good at eating smaller meals. I used to eat huge meals. I had no self-control. But I've got better over the years and finally educated my brain into understanding that I didn't need to stuff my face like an idiot. I don't know why I used to do it. I didn't grow up with not enough food in the house. I was just like hardwired to eat and I couldn't stop. It was dreadful. But that is now a thing of the past, I'm pleased to say. And then I'm just going to chop the leek up. Now, because I'm doing an all-day meal, so to speak, I'm going to do the whole of this pepper. It's not a very big pepper anyway. Just going to chop out the top. There's that gone. And then open it up. Chop out the innards. Just where the seeds are. You can eat the rest of it, it won't hurt you. Go. And now I'm going to kind of do a mid dicing on this as well. So it's not really fine, but it's not really chunky. It needs to spread nicely across 2 meals. So that's a good little pile of veggies there. It's all good for you. Now I'm just going to warm up the pan with the garlic. Just get that going. And now that garlic is just starting to sizzle, I'm going to throw in all the veg. Make sure that's all nice and blended in with the garlic. And let that sit on a lower heat as well. And now I'm going to dice up some of this liver sausage. Quite a lot of it. So I'm going to get a stack of 6 or 7 slices like that, and I'm just going to cut it into fine strips across the circles and then turn it round and go the other way, and then you'll end up with something that's kind of remotely cubed. And that way it will blend nicely into the entire meal. Now, packets of meat like this I find will last about a week in the fridge. I bought 2 packs of ham yesterday as well, if you've seen on that last video. That's all now in the freezer. I probably won't touch that until next month because I have plenty of other things to use in the freezer. Let's put this back in the fridge. I'm going to save that to go in at the last minute. That's already pre-cooked, so it just needs warming through. So now I'm going to show you why I have put so much water in my rice. Because I pan cook with water, what I can now start to do as the rice is cooking is start to pour off a little bit of that stock water into that to help that cook. Doesn't need a lot. Don't want the rice to go dry, but you don't want your veggies to go dry either. So now it's kind of like cooking in stock cube juice that's from the rice. So you're not wasting any of it. Everything is being used and then being used somewhere else. I mean, I thought I'd been using a lot less water the last month or so, but my water bill next month is going up by almost £2. I don't know why. My usage has gone from, I think it's 24 litres a day to 26 litres a day. But I think the billing isn't the same as the meter reading. So I'm expecting that to change again, because I know that I have been using less water for a fact. Anyway, so we don't waste water. Water gets used for cooking. It gets used within the cooking as well. It never ends up down the sink. So that veg is cooking nicely in that bit of water. That stops it going dry, helps it to soften up nicely. I'm going to check the rice, see how close that is to being done, because I'm going to pour out the rice before it's fully cooked, and there's a reason for that as well. Need a little bit more. So that rice is now getting close to, reasonably close to being done. So I'm going to switch that off. And now I'm going to pour it into the pan with all the veggies. That's all the water and all the rice. There we go. Give that a good old stir around and let the rice to continue cooking now with the veggies and all the stock. So I'm going to let that do. Now, this isn't a really strong meal. So one of the good things that I have found about eating less ultra-processed food and less junk and cooking from scratch is that your taste buds get desensitized. So when you're eating a lot of food with a lot of sugar, a lot of salt, a lot of fat, a lot of flavorings and additives, is that your taste buds get dulled and you find that you need it more and more and more. So someone that's used to eating ready meals every day who ate this would think this was bland, because their taste buds become artificially used to too much salt, too many flavorings, things like that. This is a really nice meal, but I don't put salt in food unless it's like a bread recipe or something that really requires salt. I don't often use ready-made sauces. If I've got something cheap, I'll use it. Like if I get a jar of pasta sauce, but I'll make up a big bulk of pasta to make the most of that. So this is going to be a really nice, subtle meal, but it's a proper, almost like a wintry meal, and it really works for the weather at the moment. Now, I'm using this liver sausage because I've got it and it's going to need to be used, but very often I will put fish in there, so a bassa or chopped ham, that's another good one. It depends what you've got and it depends what you like. These are mix and match meals. I put in the rice, the stock cube, whatever veg I've got that I want to put in, whatever meat I've got that I want to put in. There's no rule around it. So that's getting reasonably close to being done. So I'm now going to put the meat in. Give that a good stir around to make sure it's properly mixed. And leave that for a few more minutes. Might need a little bit more water, and I have a little jug here that I use just to top up water if I need it, just to stop everything from drying out. That tastes spot on actually. If there's too much water, turn the heat up a little bit, stir it and reduce the water. Don't end up with a meal that's too watery for what you would like. Now very often for lunches, this is the size bowl, I wouldn't fill this right up, but that's my lunch bowl. Today I'm going to use a smaller bowl, like a sort of normal breakfast cereal bowl, and I'm going to fill that. And sometimes when I do this it's not quite accurate, so I'll do enough for lunch and there won't be quite enough for tea. But what you can do is just add a bit of extra veg, like I might add an extra bit of leek or another pepper or something, just to bulk it up a bit. So that's that done. It's like a risotto without the risotto basically. It's a poor man's risotto. And I used to love a good risotto. So I'm just going to spoon out what I need for this. The rest of it I will leave in the pan. I'll pop my little splash cover over to protect it, and this is lunch. And that's really nice. But you need the stock cube. Put in any stock cube you like, I just happen to have veggie ones. I also have chicken ones. That is a proper all-in-one meal. It's got everything you need in it. So that's how I do quick pan meals. Dinner, there's enough there for dinner. Not going to need to add anything else to that. And when it's dinner time, I will just switch the pan on, warm that through, straight in a bowl, done. This is generally how I cook, but you end up with really nice, hearty, proper meals. This afternoon I'm not sure, I might make some cheese scones. I've got an urge for a cheese scone for some strange reason. I have half a block of cheese in the fridge and I just fancy trying that, so I might do that this afternoon. Now, in a recent video that I made about credit scores, I was talking about how I have just added some more money to my monthly pay-in for my stocks and shares ISA, which is part of my retirement planning. And then a few days afterwards, I came across a channel called, I think it's called, is it That Retired Guy? It's called Retired Guy. And he did a video about whether it's worth saving for retirement. And he put together, I'll link the video up here as well so you can see it. And he did a video crunching all the numbers on different scenarios for different people. So somebody who had not worked and had no state pension, somebody who had some state pension, and all of these other different scenarios, people who had saved, people who had their 35 years of national insurance contributions, all that sort of thing. And he crunched the numbers on, because if you don't have enough, the benefit system will top you up. And it looked like the person who had no retirement funding at all and was living in a one-bedroom apartment was going to be better off in retirement than somebody who contributed their full 35 years and everything else. Now, that's largely immaterial at the moment, because I am still best part of 20 years away from retirement. And who knows how that system will change by then. But I've always had it drummed into me that if you don't save for your retirement, I say always, not at all. I have my contributions to my state pension. I'm self-employed, so every year I have to pay my national insurance no matter how much work I do. So that employment will continue until I retire. There's no reason why that should change. I will always be paying my national insurance privately. So I will have my full contribution to the state pension. I will have the max allowance. But I've also got my little SIP pension, which I only started 2 years ago. And I have my stocks and shares ISA, which I suppose is really doesn't even have to be retirement funding. It can just be a savings account helping my savings grow, which I've only had for just under a year. So they haven't got huge amounts of money in them. But the idea was that I wouldn't touch them until I retired, and they would top up the state pension. But what am I worrying about? Because it looks like the system is just going to top you up with so much money you won't need it anyway. And if you have savings, you're risking losing all those benefits that would make you better off. So by having savings, you're going to be worse off than if you hadn't had any savings. Because if you have savings, obviously they'll take it away from you. Or they'll take the benefits away from you. Now, of course, there is a very ethical side to this argument. That is, why should the system be topping you up because you can't be bothered to work? And I absolutely agree with that. The system should be there for people that are in desperate need. It shouldn't be there for people that can't be bothered to work or spent all their money rather than being careful and putting into savings plans, etc., etc. It should be there for people who struggle, disabled people, people with mental health illnesses, which means they can't work, all that sort of thing. It shouldn't be there for the lazy and the useless who just can't be bothered. But part of me thinks, I'm sitting here with no heating on. I'm on a food budget of about £40 a month because I'm trying to look after my future self by putting into savings, or just trying to grow my money a little bit. I don't have a lot to play with. It's not like I'm putting hundreds of pounds into savings accounts every week and hoarding money. I'm not at all. I'm just trying to think of what my life is going to look like as a single person with, there's no spouse with a private pension or income or anything like that. It's me on my own. If I can't provide for myself, nobody else will. And that's by choice. I've chosen that route. That's not an accidental circumstance. That's my decision. So there's no one to blame there except me. But have a look at the video and look at those numbers and tell me what you think about that. Because I had no idea. Genuinely, I had no idea. I'm lost for words. Do comment on that. I'd really like to know what you think, having watched the video. Don't just comment based on what I've just said. Go and watch the video. Maybe I'm missing something. But the comments were interesting on that video. You know, someone said about how, you know, the system just rewards people who can't be bothered. Go and have a look at it, seriously. Because I'd really like to know what you think if you watch the whole video and look at the way he's crunched the numbers. What am I missing? If you are retired and you have retired with no state pension and you're getting this kind of money, let me know how that happens. Because it looks like people who haven't ever saved anything for their retirement have plenty of cash to roll in, whilst people who did are struggling. So, yesterday's storm raged on. I think it was about 30 hours. It started on Thursday evening, and I think it stopped in the early hours of Saturday morning, like about 3-4 o'clock in the morning, because I remember waking up and hearing that it was starting to die down. It's a tip out there. So all the people who leave all their bins out all week full, all the bins have gone over, all the rubbish is everywhere. It looks like a landfill site. It looks really gross. On a plus note, someone's thrown out 2 bunches of flowers unopened in one of the bins, and I rescued them. So look, they don't match because both the bunches were very different and I only have one vase available at the moment. But look how pretty these flowers are. I don't buy flowers because they're a waste of money. It doesn't cheer me up to have cut flowers wilting slowly in the corner. That's why I have houseplants that keep living. But these are rather pretty. I'm rather happy with that. So that's Saturday morning. Very weird. I've been over and done my morning clean, and I'm now back home to do some lunch. We are heading into a really cold spell now that storm's gone. It's brought really cold weather with it. We're supposed to have snow, and we're going to be in, I think -1 is as cold as it's going to get, but it was 14 degrees here this morning, and it's just got to get used to it. This is the way of the modern world. You will not have central heating in winter. 2025, who'd have thought it? This cold afternoon seemed like a really good time to make those cheese scones I talked about yesterday and didn't make. So I've just finished them. They're just coming out the oven now. My scones never rise properly. They're more like biscuits, but I don't care because it's a cheesy scone type thing. They're too hot to touch at the moment. They smell really cheesy. I whacked all the cheese in, so that's how they look. They smell amazing. They smell proper cheesy. I'm really pleased with them. I'm going to leave them in the oven for a bit, and then once they're cooled a bit more, I'm going to cut one open, whack some butter on, and see how it tastes. I had a big chunk of cheese left in the fridge, and I haven't done all of it, I've done most of it. But it just seemed like a nice fun thing to add to my food selection at the moment. I've still got some of that barbecue bean salad in the fridge. I've got one of the pots I haven't even started yet. And for lunch today I had bassa, and I did lots of veg with it. And I did it as an all-day meal, so I had some for lunch and the rest of it will be for dinner. I think actually I'm going to leave the rest of it for tomorrow and have something with the barbecue bean salad tonight, because I bought that on Thursday. I think it must have been Thursday. So I need to get in and make sure that I'm using everything up appropriately. But it's better. Weather's calmer now. I'm really pleased about that. Storm's gone, and I'm just staying warm. Yes, the sushi hoodie is on. If you can't afford to put your heating on, if it's just too cold and your heating is too expensive, if you can get one of these somehow, or put it on a Christmas list or something, check Vinted. These sorts of things crop up in Vinted all the time. I was given mine by somebody who'd received it as a gift, and it's not their sort of thing. They'd never wear something like this. and this is my absolute lifeline. With this on, it's about 2 or 3 sizes too big, which is good because that locks in some extra warmth, plus you can wear extra layers underneath. It's fleecy, and the hood makes such a difference because you lose a lot of your body heat through your head, and I notice a real difference when I have the hood up. And of course it protects the back of your neck as well, which gets cold. So when it's really cold, I can be really snuggled up in this thing. This is an absolute lifeline. So if you find that a couple of jumpers in your dressing gown isn't doing the job, try and get hold of one of these. These things are great. This is a Primark one. I've had it for I think a couple of years now, and it's made such a huge difference. I can get down to like -1 before I need to put the heating on with wearing this, and I don't mind. It's warm, it does the job. I don't mind having a colder atmosphere. I find if the atmosphere is too warm, like centrally heated, I find that really uncomfortable. So when I go down to my parents and they've got the heating whacked up to like 20 degrees, I find that a real struggle. And I find I get dried out and dehydrated a lot. So I function quite well in a colder environment as long as my body's warm. And with this, and in the evening, I'll be on the sofa with my slanket on and absolutely fine. And I've got little fluffy thermal socks and stuff if I need them. And yeah, it's does the job. So I'm just waiting for my scones, going to give one of those a go, and Saturday is a good one. This morning, Monday, it's the 17th of November, is our first properly cold night because there's been no cloud cover. And I know that because a couple of my windows had condensation on them this morning, so I had to sort that out. Once we enter that season, every morning is going to be mopping windows. That's one bit I really hate about this time of year. There was frost on the cars this morning, but because it's also sunny, I'm out here now at just after 10 o'clock, and the frost has gone, but it's very wet on the inside. So I'm just waiting to warm the engine up for a minute, and then hopefully I can just let my heaters dry out my windscreen, because if I start mopping, I'm gonna have water dripping everywhere, and I hate that. So rest of the weekend just tripped along, it's fine. But I did get an email, I think it was yesterday, from someone, thank you for that, telling me that all my Vinted clothing sizes were confusing and wrong. And what I didn't know, because I then looked it up on the internet, is that Vinted have decided to realign all the English sizing for international sizing, and I think for international buying. And they just ruined it. So luckily I put all the sizes in my titles as well as in the descriptions with the categories, so I was able to check that, and it was ridiculous. It was so far out. So I had something, let's say, was a UK 16, which was fine in my title because that hadn't changed because I'd typed it, but when you went down to the proper sizing, it was telling me it was a UK 22, which is so far out. It was ridiculous. So I had to manually change the sizing on 100 items in my Vinted store, which was not fun, but not like, it took me about an hour, something like that, I think. So that was really annoying and unhelpful. I don't know why they've done that, because the sizing is so appalling. It's not like they've added European and other international sizing. They've just changed the UK sizing. So I'm glad that I had it written in the descriptions, because otherwise I have to go through all the pictures looking for labels, and might have had to have gone back through all my items on the hangers to double check the sizings. But because I've already had them written in, it was okay. So I've done that. That was really annoying. A little bit of work on a Sunday evening. What else? Nothing else really. I'm going to go to Sainsbury. I'm just waiting to go to my Monday morning clean, but I want to go to Sainsbury, pick up a couple of bits for me. There's nothing to buy for them. I haven't had an email with a shopping list on it, but I'm going to get a bag of potatoes and a couple of other bits, so I'm going to go there first. Really cold indoors. It was 13 in the flat this morning. Not fun. The good thing is that because, you know, most days of the week now, more than half of the days of the week, I'm out in other places, working in other people's homes and businesses, and I get to enjoy the heat. So I'm looking forward now to going to a very warm house and defrosting. It's the season of being tough. It is here. Well, the first of the 2 seasons of being tough. We're going to hit -3 this week, actually. I thought it was only going to hit like maybe -1, but as I keep watching the weather reports, I think the next couple of nights, because it's going to be very relatively clear weather, less cloud cover, it's going to be cold. And I'm just looking at my neighbours' windows. They've had their heating on for a couple of months, I would have thought, because their windows drip. There is water pouring down the insides of their windows. I don't know why it's that flat, because the other flat that's downstairs, which is next to them, doesn't have any water at all, and the 2 upstairs ones don't. So there's something about that flat, that everybody who's lived in there has always been water pouring down those windows. It's very weird. I don't know what's going on with that one, because no one else has it. So I don't know. Anyway, just waiting for this window to dry out a little bit more, then I can see where I'm going. I'm almost there. Oh, it's warmer already. It's so good. Right, so just finished in Sainsbury. Did quite well actually. I spent £10 and 2 pence. £10 of it I did on Nectar Points, so I spent 2p. And here is what I got. And a few yellow stickers on. So there were 2 packs of Pak Choy. You get 2 in a bag. These were £1.50 down to 39p each, so I got 2 of those. They also had some avocados on discount, yellow sticker. I have 4 avocados here. They were £2.50 down to 64p. I needed, what else did I have to get? I got white potatoes, 2 kilogram bag of white potatoes. They were £1.32. I also bought some toothpaste because I needed to top it up to the amount to get the Nectar Points that I could spend, and it comes up in £2.50 increments. So I got that because you can always use toothpaste. And the other thing I got, which is the main thing I went in for and was the expensive thing, is this hydrating cuticle oil that I get. My hands and my nails get really dry and brittle in winter. This stuff is really good, and it lasts ages because you only need a very small amount. That is a whopping great £6.30. And that was the main thing that I really went in for, because sometimes when I go in I can't find them, so I have to keep going back. So I wanted to check now because I'm getting low on my other bottle, and that's my little cosmetic treat, and it smells lovely because it smells of almonds. It's like marzipan. So yeah, so I basically spent 2p on that whole lot. You can't go wrong with that. Now that does mean that I'm now £10 down on my balance of Nectar Points for Christmas. That means I've probably got about £65 now, because I think I was up to about 74, something like that. But this morning I cashed out a £5 on doing surveys. I reached a 1,000 point balance, so I've cashed that in. So in a couple of days time that £5 will go in, so I'm theoretically only a £5 down. And we're doing quite well now with the Nectar surveys, now that everything's back to normal. So I'm back to earning, like, I've earned £25 worth of points so far this month, and it's still only the 17th of October. So that's a real lifeline in terms of groceries and extras. That's really going to help keep Christmas down, which is really important. So that's the end of this video. I'm now going to head off and do my Monday morning clean, get myself defrosted, which will be nice. And yeah, that's it. That's the lot. And we will start again on another video. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here, as always. Thank you for your comments. And yeah, do click on the links that I've put in this video. See that one about the pension thing? I'm really interested, because I often get comments from people saying, you know, it's not worth saving for retirement. It's not worth it. And other people saying you're not saving enough. So you get all these conflicting bits of information. So I would really like to see what you all think. But make sure that you've been and watched the video, because it's a really interesting financial breakdown he does. Worth a watch if nothing else. So that's it. I'm off. Catch you on the next one. See you then. Bye.